What do you expect in this virtual convention, Congressman?
Well, I think you're going to see what Bernie Sanders said. He said they've become more progressive. They've not really become progressive. They went to the left so far that they found the edge and jumped off. I mean, their message is going to be continually more big government, more control in life. I mean, you heard it laid out there. They have a vision, and frankly, though, the underlying vision is not really their left politics. It's the hatred of Donald Trump. They do not like Donald Trump. This has been started since 2016, and all they want to do is beat Donald Trump. They don't have a vision for how America be. They only have a vision of beating Donald Trump.
Well, they do have a message right now, and that is Donald Trump is trying to screw up the post office. So essentially, we had Miranda Devine with us about an hour ago. She said so that if the Democrats lose, they've got an alibi why they lost, just like last time they had an alibi. Oh, Russia collusion, even though that didn't turn out. Watch this montage of people talking about the post office.
I am deeply, deeply concerned about Trump's effort to undermine American democracy by defunding the Postal Service. People should not have to put their lives on the line and get sick and maybe die in order to cast a vote. Do you believe in American democracy? We have a crisis now. It's a crisis in democracy. This is about the future of American democracy and whether people have a right to participate. This is a crisis for American democracy. We've got to act and act now.
So there you've got tonight's keynote speaker, Bernie Sanders, talking about the post office. Congressman, I know Nancy Pelosi said yesterday she's going to be calling you back to the Home Office early to take up some sort of legislation. But really, isn't this a squeeze play to try to get the Republicans to agree to that $3.5 trillion coronavirus bill that does have $25 billion worth of bailout money for the post office?
Yeah, this is all about politics, but I want to take it a step further, and you can just hear it in Bernie Sanders' voice. This is about Democrat voter suppression. They have a problem. It's called Joe Biden, and they don't like what the election they don't think is going to mean because they believe that Trump is going to be strong, and we believe he's going to get reelected. But when you're calling on the post office, let's look at actually what's happened. All the Postmaster General said was to states, make sure that your voter laws align with what we can actually do with the post office. Right. And there's so many theories out there that is just really sad. And the reason I know this is political and not really after something and how they want to set it is when Speaker Pelosi sent a letter to her colleagues, she talked about Social Security checks not being sent out. Folks, we know that President Obama put everything, for the most part, on electronic payment for Social Security. This is a scare tactic. They're simply trying to scare voters into thinking something is wrong with the voting system and that they can't go and vote, and that the Republicans are doing it to them. And this is what this is, and it's really wrong.
Yeah, well, Ayanna Pressley, who is a congresswoman from Massachusetts, she's saying that the senators, the GOP senators that are in office now, and governors continue to carry water for the president. So she's calling, she says they're ignoring what the voter wants, so she's calling for unrest in the streets now. Listen.
This is as much about public outcry and organizing and mobilizing and applying pressure so that this GOP-led Senate and that these governors that continue to carry water for this administration, putting the American peoples in harm's way, turning a deaf ear to the needs of our families and our communities, hold them accountable. Well, make the phone call, send the email, show up. There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Congressman Collins, your thoughts?
It's highly irresponsible. Those comments are just fanning the flames of what we're seeing. I mean, we had officers hurt last night again in Seattle and over in Portland. You know who she's carrying the water for? She's carrying the water for the anarchists that are looting and robbing and going through our cities. She's carrying the water for those who want to defund our police and disrespect our police. I tell you, it's time we actually get back to actually getting our civil society back to where it should be, instead of this kind of rhetoric that just breeds the problems that we're seeing. And again, when you're wanting to have more unrest, but yet you're wanting to take away our police and our security, I think that shows exactly what they're wanting to do, is keep everything up in the air because they want to get at this election and they want to blame it all on Donald Trump.
So if you look at the Senate, if you look at Colorado, Arizona, if you look at Montana and North Carolina, it looks like all those Republican senators are in trouble. Alabama looks like it could reverse. Are you getting worried that the trend is trending against Republicans? The president's closing the gap, but the Senate isn't. What is the buzz amongst your party?
I think the buzz is that we can get into the final stretch here. We get into September and October. When people start focusing on what is going on in this election, they start seeing the very stark, real results between Donald Trump and Mike Pence and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I think you're going to start seeing people start focusing. That's going to help. We saw, we're going to see that Trump voter come back out. We saw it here in Georgia in 16. We didn't see it as much in 18. We're going to see it again in 20. And I think you'll see that across the country. Is it a real election? Yes. That's why Joe Biden cannot hide out in the basement all the rest of this election. He's going to have to get out and campaign and tell people what he actually wants. And when that happens, then you're going to see how a Republican Senate, a Republican House, and keeping President Trump for 4 more years will actually, I begin to see, turn these elections. And I do think you'll see Donald Trump win them this November. But it's going to take work, and it's going to take Republicans not taking it for granted and actually getting out.
All right. Congressman Doug Collins joining us from recess down there in Georgia. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you.
Great to be with you. Take care.